and welcome to Supercharged episode 186. I'm Adam Dotches.
And I'm Tommy Houghton.
And today we are, I guess, doing kind of a news show because there's a lot of it. And
lots of news.
There are a few things that I want to talk about in particular. I realized that we were going to talk about them together prior to the show, and then that didn't happen, and we're recording now. So I guess it's going to be a surprise. I actually don't know what some of the stuff is. So we're going to discover some things together today.
So yeah, I'm excited. That'll be good.
But one of the things I really wanted to talk about was DeepFake, which, are you familiar with that, Tom?
I am.
Yes. This is like, I think we actually talked about the technology behind it.
Yes, we did. And
I wondered at one point, I kind of wish I said something if I didn't. I don't remember. Like, how long is it going to take for porn? For people to, for those who don't know, it's Deep Filter is porn generated of, I guess, mostly actors at this point.
Or video game characters.
Yeah, anything famous using machine learning to render very like uncomfortably realistic video. And the quality of the source is really what matters there. But you can't
want to
just
see
do
your
it.
Favorite Overwatch character get gangbanged. You can.
Yeah, I feel like they probably could have done that with like what is the thing that machinima?
Oh yeah, machinima is super easy to do that with.
Yeah, I feel like that was always an option. those gangbangs were ready. Oh boy, the internet is something else.
What is it? Rule 34?
Yes.
Yeah.
But so we're going to talk about that. I want to save that one for later, so we actually get through the other stuff, because I feel like I'll just sit on that forever.
Yeah.
I just like, the dystopian future that I've been talking about for like the last 2 years is finally beginning. We're headed for hell, everybody. Get excited.
This is the first step towards that.
Yes. So I think, though, first things first. Well, not necessarily. Well, let's do our recommendations first.
Sure, I like that.
I'm gonna get mine out of the way because it's stupid and quick, and I want you to have time to talk about yours. So the basically, what did it? Oh, so those of you who use Macs know how annoying the OS 10 notifications are, or Mac OS notifications are, and I was going through to pull up the news for the show today, and I saw on Gizmodo they had a post on how to get rid of the really annoying ones, which you would think would be a Lifehacker thing, but I feel like Gizmodo's been posting more of those than Lifehacker has these days. So I went through the article, and it's not the best news ever, because you might have to delete a bundle to really deal with the problem if you really just want to kill all those notifications. But basically, they have a few ways of getting rid of them. We'll put a link into the show notes because it's kind of too difficult to describe on the show without wasting a bunch of time. So if you are really annoyed with macOS OS 10 notifications, just the system software updates or whatever, then this is an article on how to get rid of everything. So go for it. It'll be up top. And Tommy, you have a game for us.
I do. So we interviewed Ben Wander from the game A Case of Distrust a while ago, and his game is out, or about to be out. We got early copies, and it's really fun. It's really short, which made me sad because I wanted a lot more game, but it's absolutely worth playing. And yeah, it's a couple hours, and you will get to meet a bunch of characters in early San Francisco, which I liked. The setting is unusual in that you have a female detective, some shady characters you're investigating. The art style is super cool. It's all rotoscoped, and the music is lovely. Sort of like a text adventure game with some cool art and some interesting investigative techniques. So
it kind of feels like living inside of a book.
It does. It really is like a beautifully written book that has some cool music animation. The music, I usually don't play game music when I play. I usually have like something going over it. But this, I made sure to turn everything off because the music is lovely. The original score is wonderful. Case of Distrust. If you're into books, mysteries, or adventure games of some kind, this would be it.
And we'll hopefully be talking to Ben again in the near future when the game is actually going to be available in a couple of weeks. So we'll talk more about that and what the process has been like for developing something like that, what he's doing next. If you haven't listened to that episode, definitely go check it out. He's really cool. Yeah. I don't remember what the number is, but it was
a good number.
It was like 4 months ago.
Yeah.
something like that.
And
if you search for Ben Wander and Supercharged, I don't think they're, you know what? That's something that I can do.
And as you're doing that, I'll say that he leaves it open for a sequel, which I sincerely hope he does. I could honestly see me playing a series of this, just like a series of adventure novels or mystery novels. I could see easily this being a regular series, which I'm sure he would be horrified to hear, because I know it took him a long time to do this, but it's good, and I want more. So.
Well, I mean, if he left it over for a sequel, he certainly considered that, and it's also. I guess if he built the framework for this game, presumably future development would be a little bit easier.
Sure. Yeah, I could see that. Having built out the framework for it, you're right.
So hopefully that's what he did, because that would be cool to be able to churn these out a lot faster now that everything's working.
He better.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
We'll ask him. We'll ask him when we talk to him next time.
No pressure, Ben.
But speaking of guests, well, actually, no, I'll save that story. I promised Tommy a story that I wanted to tell on the show today because it's just super weird. But I do want to remind everyone really quickly, if you have a recommendation for other people like the ones that we just gave out, or a question that you want us to answer on the show, or some news you'd like us to talk about on the show in a future episode, you can go to awkwardhuman.com/supercharged, and you can submit any of those things on that page. I think they're all on that page. So that is, it must be, because I have a misspelled link on the screen right now. It's missing the A in awkward. So good job me. I didn't catch that for 2 weeks.
Good catch.
But hopefully I'll remember to fix that when this episode's over, because I can't edit it. Maybe I can edit it right now. I guess I'll find out. We're learning everything today.
Multitasking.
Mm-hmm. So, well, I'll just be working on that while we're talking. But the other thing, I guess I can start telling the story. So I just had this weird feeling yesterday when I talked to someone that Tommy would know who he is, and that he was probably friends with someone else we met recently named Stephanie Riggs, who works on immersive experiences, I guess is probably the best way to put that. I think we've mentioned her a couple of times when we talked about HetFest. Oh, also, by the way, Ben's episode is 163, if you want to go check that one out. So 5by5.tv/supercharged/163. But the first thing was, I think I thought there must be, Tommy must know who this guy is, because he mentioned Meow Wolf on the phone with me, and I don't remember when or why we talked about that, but I'm pretty sure we did.
We did.
Why was it?
I got to meet the guy that runs Meow Wolf at the Immersive Design Summit that I was at. Plus, one of my friends is now running the Santa Fe location.
So did you just mention that to me?
Within the last few weeks.
That's interesting. Well, I can't fix this stupid link. It's not letting me edit it while we're recording. So maybe I thought you could edit text live, but I guess not. There's another A in awkward that I didn't type. For those of you watching, sorry. That's just how it's going to be, I guess, today. But
we're going to have to roll with it. We'll do it live.
awkwardhuman.com/supercharged. Please go there, submit some stuff. If you find anything interesting you want us to talk about, we'll check that before the show for questions, recommendations, and news.
Or jokes or riddles.
Yes, I don't know where you would submit those, but you can pick one of the forms and we will share your jokes or riddles. It would probably fit best into the questions, maybe, because you can submit feedback too that we would read. So those are, please do that. And we want to get more people participating in the show again, because I've been kind of bad at that over the last 6 months plus.
We miss you.
Yeah. So don't forget, you can contribute. Okay. So back to the story though. So I don't remember exactly. I think this was like a couple weeks ago. Sometimes when I'm writing an article, I don't know if, Tommy, this has ever been something that you do, like if you're ever writing and you just kind of get stuck for a second, like you lose your train of thought or whatever, and you want to type the next word, and all you can think of is like poop or dicks or something that, and of course that's where my mind goes, but there's something inappropriate.
Yes.
That should not be in there, and you just have to kind of type it in to the computer for a second and delete it to get it out of your system and move on.
I do that actually a lot with scripts, where if I'm writing something and then I'll put something crazy in and give it to my partner, and he'll get it, and we have to make sure we erase stuff, because we've accidentally sent people stuff with crazy stuff in there. Yeah.
I almost did that on a customer support case once, and that would have been bad.
Oof.
But that was back in the day. I mean, I made other mistakes that were bad. So
one of my favorites that got through was a movie we wrote that actually got made. We named the dog Blondie, which is the name of Hitler's dog.
Oh.
Yeah. Just as a small little thing, and no one caught that. So
well, that's good.
The dog was named Blondie.
I mean,
I think the thing got cut, so we're okay. But
maybe it would. I mean, was it a reference that might have offended people, or a reference?
Well, yeah, that name is kind of to people that are either historians or easily offended, or like crazy Third Reichers. Yeah, we realized that was probably bad, but we did it as a way to like express our displeasure with the production. But
what is the? What does that say about Blondie the musician, though?
I've
heard some things.
I think she's a Nazi. I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah, I mean, probably.
I mean, with a name like that.
But I've heard she's got some interesting political stuff. I don't really care what she does, but
I mean, she can have whatever view she wants. She wrote the song "Call Me," so.
You usually seem to know, though, what all the secret lives of celebrities, so I thought maybe there was some sordid story behind it.
I think my interest drops down like past the 90s. Pre 90s, you kind of lose me.
Yeah. All right. Well, so
Blondie.
I was typing dicks into the computer because I had lost my train of thought. I was before bed, and I was doing my before bed work, as I tend to do these days. And I just had a brain fart, and so I started typing. And normally it's just like some sort of bathroom word or swear word or something like that. Like that's what clears it, because it just loops in my head until I put it out there. And for some reason, I started typing hexagram. And I don't know where that came from. And and Google started auto suggesting, as it does. And I pressed enter because I thought I was going to some other site, or I hit enter by accident. And I didn't know. And Tommy, maybe you know where this is going at this point, but Hexagram is the name of a company that Rob works for. And I guess I can say who he is, because there's not a problem. But Rob Otten, if I'm pronouncing that sort of correctly, he wrote some video games and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And Hexagram is an AI company that does, I guess, better narrative chatbot stuff. They built on top of ChatScript in a way that makes it suck less, using what they're calling their platform or their API is called Saga. And so I wanted to find out more information about that when the website just came up, and I was like, oh wow, this is something I was looking for. Why did I accidentally stumble on this site? And so my first thought, though, was that it had something to do with Stephanie. Because I was like, she must have told me, but I went back and looked at my notes of the things she told me to look into, and it's not on there. And I was like, okay, well, I guess it wasn't her. And no matter what I do and what I search for, everywhere, I cannot find any instance of me ever going to the site before.
Interesting. So it's like Google knew you better than you knew yourself.
Well, that happens a lot, but usually I can like find a path to how it got there, or like if I dig deeply enough, and which doesn't take the magic away. It's like understanding it for me is not knowing the magic trick. It's believing in the magic trick.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, oh, this is possible, and this is how it's possible, and then a lot of times there's something to build on from that. So that's cool, but I cannot for the life of me figure out why Hexagram popped into my head.
Yeah, that's crazy.
If it was in my memory from the phone call, my long-term memory remembers my short-term stuff, but my short-term doesn't. It like all goes into long-term memory, and if I don't remember what I'm saying in a given moment, it's gone. So for like at least a week, and then, or unless someone tells me, but it's in there. And it will pop back up suddenly, but I can't get to it.
That's crazy.
So I would think that this has something. It was something along those lines normally, but I can't find any instance of ever having heard of them before. The site did look kind of familiar to me, but it also looks like another site that does. Another friend of mine sent me to that I can't remember the name of right now, but it was, I checked that site and I was like, oh yeah, that does look just like this. So maybe that was what it was. Anyway, they have like no contact or they have contact, they have some contact information. They have no information on how to even use their product, use the API, but it talks about it like you're supposed to be able to do it. And I was like, this is a missing piece of what I need to do.
Yeah.
Because the part that I'm trying to develop myself is, like I'm gonna have to figure that one out on my own. But all this other stuff, like I don't want to put that much effort into it because what I'm already trying to tackle is so complicated.
And also, there's no need to reinvent the wheel if someone already has it.
Yeah, exactly. Like if there's something that's good and working, and I'm not sure whether this falls into that category or not. But the weird thing is that so I went and looked up all their information because on LinkedIn and elsewhere, and just emailed everyone at the company and sent them. I sent them a very strange email about all of this.
Oh.
Like I found you because something got stuck in my head, and I told them all the story.
Yeah.
Of how I ended up on the website.
Their subliminal marketing is working.
I guess. And so I was like, I don't know how I got here or why, and I don't know what I'm doing with this AI crap, but I'm trying to learn and get to know it better and connect with people who are doing this because it's new and I don't get it and I want to. And so Rob, no one else responded, but there are only 3 of them. Yeah. But Rob's kind of the creative one, and I think he read the email and was like, this is fucking weird.
Yeah, this is strange.
I took a chance on sending the email the way I did because I'm just like, does it have a feeling that I generally will do this no matter what because it's a good way of weeding people out. Sure. When they're not to see if they're comfortable with like strangeness or people being willing to be vulnerable right away. Yeah, that's important. And so I told them a lot of a very brief but thorough history of how I ended up at this point, and he found it very interesting, fortunately. So we had a call yesterday and talked about what we're both doing, and he was like, you should try our stuff out and see how it works for you, because I actually wanted to do a project similar to what you were doing, and then we ended up doing all this hexagram stuff and working on other people's stuff and doing client work, and I'm like, I know how that goes. So he was interested in seeing if I can get anywhere with it and to give the platform a try, which was pretty cool. But I was thinking the whole time I was talking to him, oh, he must know Stephanie. So I sent Tommy a message yesterday saying, do you know who... I wasn't even going to ask you about Rob initially, but I was like... but he had mentioned Meow Wolf, and I was like, I think Tommy talked about that. So I wonder if they know each other.
So my guess is that he knows it because we were at the same conference that we both met the guy who runs Meow Wolf.
So I'm wondering if he like looked me up at one point and be like, oh, we have people in common. But he never mentioned this to me.
Yeah, I just messaged him a little bit ago.
Yeah, so I'm gonna send him a message later. I was gonna do it last night, but then I don't know. Sometimes I get weird about messaging. Like I try to send people stuff, and then I get busy, and then I like overthink it, and I get very overwhelmed by messaging for some reason right now.
Yeah, that happens.
And some days I can just churn them out, and another, but I'm worried about doing it because I feel like I'll just spend all my time sending text messages and emails. I can lose a whole day doing that.
I can do the same, and there was a fun scenario yesterday where I was like, I'm good about keeping track of everything, and then there was a misunderstanding that popped up between two people, between someone who I recently connected with and someone else who I connected with, and it turns out they know each other. And there was this weird instance of telephone game where I had said something to one of them, and it got conveyed in the wrong way to the other person, who then got very upset. And so I had to go smooth that over. So it was like a giant game of like apologizing for a misunderstanding that I had no control over. So that was hectic, but yeah. So that was like 3 hours of time dealing with that game.
Yeah, that's always fun.
Yeah.
So I have to offer an apology to Lifehacker. When I was saying, this seems like a post that should be on Lifehacker, the OS 10 notification things, it is. It was just spliced onto Gizmodo, and so I was like, that's weird. But I wasn't paying attention. I was just looking at what's up next in the news, and noticed that I was on that page, and it was Lifehacker. So sorry, Lifehacker, you still are putting that stuff out there more than I thought you were. So yay, I'm glad that it's still alive.
Good job.
Yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about the site changes that they've had since Univision took over. I think some of them are good. I think some of them are really uncomfortable for me. I don't think that they are. But I don't know if that like means anything for everyone else. It's just the amount of politics on the site at this point. Just I don't like it. It just really bothers me because it's not how it's supposed to be. But that may be me and not that and not.
Yeah, the article about how to make your own "Make America Great Again" hat was really surprising.
Was that on there?
No,
because they had a make your own garden spicer when Sean Spicer was hiding in the bushes supposedly.
Oh, yes, I saw that.
Or when the news decided. I mean, like, I don't love. I feel like I spend a lot of time defending the administration because there's so many people who take it too far or like criticize them for stuff that is not really fair to criticize them for, or exaggerating it to a point to make fun of them or ridicule them. And it's like there's plenty of material if you want to legitimately have an opinion about this.
Like their entire platform.
I mean, and well, I don't know why my brain works this way, but I feel the necessity to say, you know, there's that time Obama said, you know, well, we tortured some folks when he was talking about Gitmo.
And they did. I just imagine like some grandmas and people from like the Midwest being tortured. Yeah. You know, that's what I imagine.
We got to bring those in there to like even it out so it's fair for all racial backgrounds.
Exactly. You know, some folks from Nebraska, they had to torture them.
Yeah. So there's, I mean, that's not necessarily something that we should find terribly funny, but since it's torture and it's happening, but
I laugh because if I thought about what was really going on, I would cry.
Yeah.
But speaking of thinking about stuff, staying open. God bless America.
Yeah. Good. Obama. Thanks, Obama.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Obama.
You did that. That was his border wall.
But Trump just reauthorized it. So
yeah. Well, that at
God
least
bless
is
America.
In line with his agenda. Which is I always feel like I need to criticize the liberals first because that's more of my area. I mean, that's where I'm more aligned with, which is hard. I don't like to associate with the Democrats so much, but you know, my thinking is liberal, obviously. But I like to try to be fair and reasonable, and so I feel like I'm defending the Trump administration all the time because people just nitpick everything, and it's like, nitpick the stuff that matters because you got to be better than that. Yeah. And there's enough. There's generally enough no matter who's in politics to complain about. So like focus on the stuff that is real and you can defend. Mm-hmm. And you don't have to dial back when someone challenges it.
Yeah.
But let's move on to some real news.
As opposed to all that damn fake news out there.
Yes, all that fake news. This would probably come across as a fake story if it wasn't for Elon Musk, and that is he sold $10 million worth of flamethrowers from his boring company this week and had to stop selling them because he sold so many flamethrowers.
A friend of mine got to try it out.
Oh, okay. So you talk about this because
I know very little besides the fact my friend sent me these insane pictures of him using a flamethrower, and I'm like,
you don't happen to have those, and can we share them?
I don't believe so.
Oh.
He didn't want them public.
I can understand why, maybe not.
He looks like an insane person.
That's why I want to show them, though.
I mean, I think anyone holding a flamethrower, you do look insane.
Yeah.
Unless there's a giant, like, mutant in front of you that's attacking you. Holding a flamethrower in your, like, own parking lot area, wielding it with a giant flame coming from it, you do look like a crazy person.
So I guess I haven't really kept up on what Boring Company is for, other than I think he's just trying to use it to make money to fund other projects.
Well, he's building tunnels. He's building tunnels near SpaceX headquarters.
Oh, so I read tunneling company, and I didn't think that was literal.
Yeah, that is. He's literally boring through the earth to make tunnels that he believes will replace mass transit.
That's why it's called boring.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, well, I've been taking everything at face value. I thought he was just making products that weren't as interesting as his other products, so he was making a joke.
Oh, no, he's
and
legit.
Tunneling was like tunneling funds into other endeavors. Wow, so this is how I work. I cannot think of the obvious thing. I have to go the most circuitous route to everything. It's so annoying sometimes because I will find the most difficult way to do things, which is really great when you have to do something difficult.
Yeah.
Because those things are like a lot easier for me to sort out these days. But for some reason, along with my wonderful absent short-term memory, I can't do easy stuff now. It's like not possible. I mean, I have trouble peeing properly sometimes. That's how bad it gets.
How does that happen?
More with like aim.
Oh, okay. I get that.
Like I can't judge my aim properly. Like I
Yeah.
started sitting down on the toilet because it's easier.
That's sweet.
I kind of like that though because then it doesn't make noise. So if you're peeing at night, you don't wake anybody up.
Yeah.
As long as you don't flush the toilet, that is, which is fine. If it's yellow, let it mellow. Is that
Or
how it goes?
just pee in the top.
Yeah. In the top? Oh,
Yeah.
in the
tank. Yeah.
What happens if you do that? Is there anything problematic with doing that?
I would imagine
Really?
it would build up over time and you've got to clean the top part too.
But that water filters out, doesn't it? Wouldn't it just like come into the toilet when it's flushing and then go down into the sewer pretty much?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I mean, it would just not clog up. It would create. I mean, because the one thing
It'd
about
be gross.
it would be gross because the one thing with
Don't
water,
poop in it.
as
won't go in
an
there.
upper decker, as they say.
Is that?
That's a term. Yeah.
Of course it is.
I mean, because human beings have done amazing things. You know, the advent of that we invented a term for that.
Yeah. Well, it's Rule 34 Amendment B. Perhaps.
Oh yeah.
Is Rule 34 about porn specifically, or is it about?
I think it's that at any point you will find porn of anything you like.
Okay, so I guess we'll need a different rule for the terminology. We can't really amend that if it's porn-centric.
Like I just saw, and granted, Wood Rocket is known for doing like obscure, strange things that are meant to be kind of like shocking and like nostalgic at the same time. They just did a porn parody of Rugrats.
Oh,
but
that's
legally,
weird.
they are ensuring that they are a grown up at this point. They are all over 18 in the movie, not the actors but the characters, because they don't want people to fantasize about them being children and doing things together. But instead, they're
adult babies.
No, they're not babies. They're all adults. They're all grown up. Although Tommy is still wearing a diaper, and it says he enjoys the infantilization of wearing a diaper. But no, they're all legally 18, as they tell you repeatedly during the trailer.
Good. That's there's nothing more erotic than a reminder.
Repeated reminders that legally we are 18. We are playing characters that are not young.
Yeah, I mean, I applaud them for being responsible, but I don't. Maybe that adds something to it. Maybe it's funnier because of that. I don't know.
But also, I think
I'm not
legally,
gonna watch that.
I think legally they have to, because I don't believe it's legal to depict like even if it's fictional.
Oh, that's right, because you can't even draw child porn anymore.
I think
that's really terrible because that's just going to drive pedophiles to get more actual child porn, and then if
like Mark Selig,
yep.
the guy from Glee who killed himself.
Yeah, which I don't know if I want to get into my child molestation debate, which apparently he didn't molest anybody, which is I misunderstood.
He didn't, but at the same time,
I didn't talk about that.
The fact that he had so much of it basically, when you enable...
Well, if you're going to have a little child porn, you might as well have all of the child porn.
The only thing is that when you pay for it or enable those communities, it encourages making more of it, which then creates more victims.
Oh yeah, no, I think it's bad. I don't want to put out... I don't want to have any...
Not to say I'm saying that you agree with this, but I think that's the one argument against even having depictions of it, is it means it has to be created somewhere.
But most of it isn't... I think... This is old information, but I remember reading about how most of the child porn had been stopped. The production of it had been mostly stopped, but it was a lot of it was tracked and controlled by the federal government, so they could catch people. Yeah,
like stuff that's cataloged and has like signatures in it, so they can track it and trace it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and people even who create their own, they're able to track them. There was a guy who went by like Mr. Swirl, who basically would Photoshop his face and make it like a giant swirl, so it looked like just a giant whirlpool. Mm-hmm. And he thankfully was stupid and didn't realize you can actually reverse that, and people figured out who he was. He's Canadian.
Well, that's too bad for him.
Nothing good ever comes out of Canada. I used to love Canada. They gave us Bieber, and now look what happened,
Yeah, that ruined it. Forget like Ellen Page or
Mike Myers,
Myers.
Wayne Gretzky.
What?
Wayne Gretzky, Tim Hortons.
Yeah, Tim Hortons is here now.
Yeah, I know, they're invading. See, the wall is on the wrong border. We got to build a wall
watch
up
out
north
for Canada,
and make Canada pay for it. Am I right? Keep your socialized medicine out of our country. Yeah,
they did they make amphetamine illegal in Canada?
I am not sure. But that seems reasonable.
That seems like something I read.
That seems something reasonable. A Canadian artist came to talk about something this week with me, and she didn't have an accent, but whenever she say about, it was a boot.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I love the little Canadian boot. So let's get some news.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so we talked about
The flamethrowers.
The flamethrowers, but we could also discuss Apple's HomePod, which was released, which I'm sure both of us know a lot about.
Tons.
For those who don't know what this is, which at least I can tell you that much, it's Apple's version of a smart speaker with Siri, and it's kind of, I mean, none of them, I have yet to see one. I like the Google Home's fine. I gotta be careful about saying her name. She might hear me from downstairs.
Now, okay, Google is a good thing.
Yeah.
I just had to say the hot word for people. I just actually turned on my phone by saying that.
Oh, the Echo gets activated so much because people talk about it on TV or whatever, and I'm like, oh, great.
They're adding, I think the teardown for the Google app is showing that you can make custom hot words for it.
Oh,
I think it's coming soon.
That would be really nice.
Yeah.
That's kind of like my main thing, is that I would like to be able to do that.
Now, Alexa allows it, doesn't she? Where you can say like, okay, computer, or computer.
You can change it to a couple of things. You can use Amazon, but it's the sort of thing where none of them are good enough to, I mean, like I would want to have it be like Xerxes or something. That's a street in Minneapolis.
That's also a Persian emperor.
Oh, interesting. But, like things that are not going to come up in conversation generally.
Or no, who is the guy who did the Greeks fight in the Battle of Thermopylae?
I don't know.
Yeah, it was Xerxes. Yeah, he was, whatever.
Well, so there you go. But we could, program that or any other Greek battle.
That's true.
Into it, hopefully someday.
Thermopylae would be fun.
Yeah.
So HomePod, is it going to take off? Why do you think Apple's so late to the game? Google was late to the game. Alexa was allowed to kind of run rampant for a long time, and obviously it was clear that Google was going to do something, and I'm glad they did.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it was kind of trivial for Google to do it because they basically had the platform already.
They were stupid not to.
So does Apple.
Yeah, they were. I'm curious why Amazon was first to market and so damn early, and Google came on a lot later, and their platform was super half baked at first, which is ridiculous. It's gotten a lot better.
Yeah, Google Home. The main problem I have with Google Home is that it doesn't hear you half the time. Its microphone array is terrible.
It's getting better, and their Home Minis are really good.
It's not gonna. Their Home Minis are what?
Their Home Minis are getting better. I think the Home Mini I really like.
Okay, so that one can actually hear you?
Yeah.
Maybe I should just get a couple of those since they're cheap.
And I got 2 for free. If at one point if you buy like a Nest product, this is funny. So my Nest, I got a Nest thermostat, Wi-Fi smoke detector, CO2 detector a long time ago, and I've had it for like 6 years now, and it began going off with the false alarms, which was always a problem in the first generation. And there's a really horrifying video of a guy in his entire house decked out with them, with all the false alarms going off. You cannot turn them off. You literally have to go take them down and rip the batteries out, which the batteries are screwed in. So you got to rip
That's them. Terrible.
And he had like 10 of them going off at once. So it was happening when I was giving a talk at USC, and my phone kept going off. There was a fire. And so I'm like, oh shit, my cat. So I'm looking at my phone, and it's like, nope. And the only reason I knew it was a false alarm was because the previous night at 3 a.m. it had gone off.
That's great.
And so I had to go out and rip it off the ceiling and like just kept poking it until it turned off. And I thought I'd been able to turn it off, but no, I didn't take the batteries out. So even though I disconnected it from its power supply, its backup batteries kept going off. So for the whole day, it was going off. And you can't disable it.
That's terrible.
So I sent in and Nest actually gave me a brand new one. The second generation doesn't have the false alarms. So they sent me the wrong one. Mm-hmm. And they're just like, oh, just take it to exchange at a Best Buy or something. So I went to go do that. And in doing so, it triggered that I got a free Home Mini. Because there was a Nest thing where if you bought a Nest product, you'd get a free Home Mini. And the exchange counted as a purchase, so I got a free Home Mini.
Well, that's a good deal.
Yeah.
I mean, it's interesting. These smart speakers are. I feel like Amazon announced the Echo, and everyone was making fun of it. Like, what's the point of this thing? And then as soon as home automation jumped into it, people were really interested. I mean, that's what got me in. I mean, I bought one when it was the beta period.
Mm-hmm.
So I was interested in it from the get-go, but I did think it was probably going to be stupid. It was not like I saw the future or anything on that one. But as soon as I saw the home automation, as soon as I knew it was going to work with the lights, I was like, yes.
Yeah.
Because they're somewhat annoying to control with the switches, although that's changed a lot now.
It's gotten a lot
I actually
better.
don't use the remote to deal with the lights most of the time.
I do voice too. I mean, although Google Home had a lot of issues with...
Or sorry, I don't use voice as much as I used to. I use because the Hue has the light remote you can take with you.
I use voice a lot. It used to not work very well with Hue, but now Google Home's gotten better.
The main problem is really like using voice when you're watching TV or going to sleep.
I don't
when
know.
you have somebody in bed.
Yeah.
For that part.
When
for the
you're-
sleeping
when
part.
you're-
Otherwise, yes, it was great when I was alone.
When you're forever alone, it's nice.
Yeah.
My cats don't mind.
Yeah. But with the during TV, sometimes it doesn't hear you, and my Google Home doesn't hear me very often.
You should retrain it.
Yeah, well, the other thing is that the alarm goes off constantly. That I've canceled. I've had canceled for 4 or 5 months now. I can't get rid of it.
That's alarming.
Yeah, it probably went off today, but I don't think I was in the room, so maybe it stopped on its own.
That's obnoxious.
Yeah, I keep canceling the alarm, and
You should just reset it.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to do it eventually. It's just
Or
I shouldn't have to reset it. I should be able to go into the app
Yeah.
and say, turn the alarm off.
Or join the preview program.
And have more problems?
No, the program's great.
What do you get out of it?
You get new features early.
Like alarm canceling?
Like being able to actually turn things
'Cause
off.
it doesn't seem like they've implemented that one yet.
Yeah, why would you want to do that? The alarm's there for your enjoyment.
I mean, sometimes it's not the worst thing in the
It
world.
keeps you on your toes. It keeps you on your toes, Adam. It's like you never know when something's going to go wrong. It's like it's letting you know this is the world. It's training you.
Well, I put the alarm back on my phone because I wanted to. There were some instances in which it just didn't really work well. Not on the. I mean, like being on the speaker if I was somewhere else, or I don't know. But I also had to change it to an earlier time, and so I just
Like, when would
I think I
this
put
go
it on the
off?
phone and then left the later one to remind me as a snooze in case something happened. And then I decided to delete it, but then it just decided it was never gonna leave. So that's
like
that.
Rick Astley, it's never going to give you up.
No, apparently not. So I'm getting a toll-free call.
It's nice of it.
Nice to call me now, huh? So yeah. Anyway, maybe Apple's AirPod will be.
Yeah.
Or what is it? HomePod.
I guess I mean, obviously, it looks like a nice high-end speaker.
Mm-hmm.
But the big thing is it's becoming smart speakers. But the thing that's interesting is that with Google, obviously, Alexa's moved into the screen market.
Mm-hmm.
It's clear that Google's
I like
doing...
the ones with the screens. They're
getting better. I like that idea. And I think Google is... The cool thing is it doesn't seem like
they
Google...
have a screen one coming too.
Well, they don't appear to be making their own one. It appears they're licensing out the Android the Assistant Home thing.
It's fine with me. I mean, their Android TV box is terrible, or was terrible. I don't think they're making it anymore. The NVIDIA Shield is the best.
So yeah, it's interesting that
good.
they're letting partners make their own like TV screened apps, assistant program things with the assistant running on it. So I'm excited for that. But the HomePod thing, I'm curious, like, what exactly do you get from Apple's ecosystem? Is it like, obviously, probably closer connection to iTunes into your Apple walled garden library?
I think there's a lot of music streaming services that integrate really easily. HomeKit is integrated automatically, and if you've been using HomeKit on your phone to do what your speaker will do, your HomePod speaker will do, then all that stuff is just ready to go. So Apple's been kind of like ramping up all this other stuff, and I'm guessing HomePod saw a late release, which was pushed out even because it was something that Apple probably felt like the infrastructure wasn't there for. They didn't have that ready, and they wanted it to be. They didn't want people to be like, this isn't working how I'm expecting it. They didn't want...
I mean, I don't mind delays to make a better product.
Yeah, if it's actually better. The problem is Siri's natural language processing skills are pretty bad, and voice recognition is pretty bad, whereas Google is great with most everything except for the microphone array. Like I'm hoping that the Mini is as good as you say. And if it's not, I can kind of just like throw a few around.
That's exactly it. For the price, it's really good. Since I got two free, I have one in my kitchen and one in my living room, and they're close by each other. And also I like it because I can have them all connect and play music at the same time. So it's nice having that surround kind of feeling in my apartment.
Yeah. I really like Google's devices for anything that involves machine learning or smart stuff,
Yeah.
it's just better. It's generally just better. I mean, with the Echo is really good, and the microphone technology, as if I haven't said this 5 times already, is the best that I've seen. It can just hear you anywhere. In the standard one, or the Echo Show is like that too. The mini ones, I don't know so much if I don't think they're as good. But I mean, like I have that Echo Circle screen one.
Oh yeah, I saw that downstairs.
No, you saw the chunky one downstairs.
Don't weight shame.
Well, no, it's the blocky one. Is
There.
that better? It's
yeah, that's what I saw.
That one's downstairs.
That's right. That's in your kitchen, right?
And that one's more useful because you can watch TV on it and stuff if you want. But it's also, but I like the little one because it's like a little alarm clock. I really like the smart devices you can talk to. I want to make one at some point.
That'd be fun.
Which is kind of what the game will. I mean, adding voice to the game is not very complicated once the rest of it's done. So I will probably enable some sort of smart features into it, because since there's that's you can get prepackaged stuff like we talked about with Houndify, for example.
Yeah.
That handles a lot of that stuff for you. So I could just kind of like enable that on my account in the game if I want to use it as a smart assistant as well. Because I like the idea of being able to like tell it exactly what I want, which is another one of the nice things about Google, because it's you can actually program shortcuts to say, like, instead of a really long thing like I want to watch this or that on this TV in this location, you can shortcut it. The problem is you can't have a variable word yet.
Oh yeah.
So that's the biggest problem for me, is that like I want to be able to say I want to watch this video on YouTube on the NVIDIA Shield in the bedroom, and it will say no to that. I mean, if I'm going to say watch YouTube video blank in bed, if I were to use that as a shortcut, because it's just more natural to say it. That's the other problem with the Google one, is that while it's really good at dealing with context by comparison to any of the others, it's not very good at parsing sentences in different ways, which is really weird because Google has written the best parser that I've ever seen.
And they've actually gotten better, because now you can do separate commands together in one sentence.
Yeah, and you should be able, but it's one of those things where it's it's like if I tell it to turn off the bedroom lights, but I were to say, hey, could you please turn off the bedroom lights, or could you please turn off these bedroom lights, or something? Like, if you insert a word in the middle, it's when it has a problem. I can't remember what I was doing, but I was being silly a couple of times. I always like to mess with it to see if it's gonna actually respond properly or not. And when you throw words in the middle of the sentence, that's when it like looks at the front and the back. But it should be able to determine the subject when I'm doing that, because if even like I think they've moved past parseface. That's actually what it's called, for those of you who don't know. But I think they've moved onto a newer version post parseface. That's weirdly hard to say. I've never had to actually say that out loud. And are doing something else, but I've used parseface, and it can definitely parse out what I'm talking about. It can make sense of of all the different variations of turning off the bedroom lights. So I don't know why the Google Home speaker can't.
I think it's learning. I think they're trying to roll out, but I know the same thing that you've noticed, and it drives me nuts. But my hope is that they keep rolling it out to make it stronger and better and faster. Yeah,
I hope so too. Some other news, I think we'll just kind of like blow through a couple of these because I want to get to DeepFake. Amazon is creating a lot of jobs in hometowns, but it's killing so much retail that basically doesn't matter, and you're going to get paid less. So.
And they're also looking for these crazy subsidies that are just taxpayers' dollars. Yeah, it's crap.
I was talking to Richard about this morning, and it's like Amazon is such a hard one for me because I really like using it, but I really think that they're doing some terrible things.
Dicks. They also just patented a thing that can keep track of what their employees are doing at all times with via their hand gestures, so it knows how hard you're working.
Yeah, I mean, we're hopefully going to have our universal basic income show in February this month now, I guess. And I did research on Amazon and how they basically are the worst at paying corporate taxes of anybody.
Yep, they're awful.
I mean, I didn't realize how it's really, really bad. I mean, like a fraction of what Walmart pays, and
Walmart sucks too.
Walmart's not doing too bad considering.
I mean, that's the thing is, it's basically...
I mean, they paid like $60.1 billion last year, I think it was.
But they still the way they treat their employees and all that nonsense.
Oh yeah, no, I'm not saying Walmart's a gem.
But you're right, Amazon
they edited their
one of the
DVD movies to make them more friendly for people, so that's or for families and kids or whatever.
So Amazon's more egregious, I agree.
Yeah, it's like Amazon does nice things for the customer and lets you kind of have what you want, but it comes at a cost of like employing slaves around the country. That's maybe a little bit excessive to say. I know that people are very sensitive about that, so I apologize if that was too much. But
indentured servants.
It's more of like the amount of I've met people who work at Amazon and are fairly happy with it, even in the warehouse jobs, and have been there for a year. So I know that it's not bad for everybody. But for a lot of people, it's backbreaking labor. They have to take painkillers every day to deal with it.
If you're really into S&M, you might enjoy the job.
Yeah, and the payment's not good, and they expect a lot. And that may have been improved since a lot of the news reports went out. So hopefully that's the case. But most people I've talked to are like, if they like it, they have some issues that are around those things, and they just kind of haven't gotten to a point where it's bothering them yet. I think so. I don't know. But
also, their website is a mess still. Like, come on, clean that shit up.
Yeah, it's like I don't understand why they haven't made the user experience on the site better.
It's awful. Like that you streamline your whole shit. Like your whole video platform is a mess. Like everything's just ugly and not streamlined. There are buttons everywhere. Mm-hmm. Like for a company that's so big and has so much money, you think they would have a better experience.
Yeah, I mean, it's good at driving you to look at stuff forever, but it's not that good at it. It's not like Facebook or Instagram where you can get lost in it and not realize
Although Facebook is still ugly on the back end too, especially their messenger platform. Yeah. They finally agreed to clean it up recently.
Yeah, I mean, why
do these big companies have such ugly sites? Like Walmart's is easier to use and cleaner.
Well, you're turning the Titanic.
I know. So it's easier to toss things in than take things out. You're right.
I mean, I think that it's like, I don't want to dump on Squarespace because they've sponsored the show, and I feel like that's a bad thing to do. But there's also that time that Dan Savage, I guess it was his producer, did an ad for Squarespace and then forgot to remove the commentary. Like, when I was telling you the story about the poop. Did you hear this? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, this was years ago, but when I was talking about typing poop and then deleting it out of an article where it's inappropriate to have that in there. This was an instance where she recorded those, I knew, right? I guess I don't know because I don't know her, but I recognized it right away as like, oh, that's what this is. This is just me being silly to get some stuff off. Yeah. Like, I don't really hate Squarespace, but she was talking about, like, she said some things that, like, oh, and Squarespace is stupid and like saying dumb things, but it didn't sound like she was angry. It just sounded like she was putting that out there to like word vomit. Yeah. Like I was talking about earlier. And so I was like, oh God, I hope that doesn't cause problems, because that's going to be an uncomfortable conversation. But to Squarespace's credit, they are usually really cool about stuff. So if anything, that controversy probably was of benefit to them because it got their name out there more. Because I think the reason people use Squarespace as much as they do is because they're talked about so much, which I guess here we are again. But they're not a bad platform by any means.
But they are bad people.
No, they seem to be pretty good people.
They
too.
Murder animals and
since when?
I'm just guessing.
Oh, okay.
I think they burn crosses in people's
yards.
I
didn't know if this was another.
No, I just
Who's the guy I played tennis with? I forgot.
Oh, poor Thomas Gibson.
Thomas Gibson. Yes, I thought maybe there's another thing where you're just gonna roll out the doomsday scenario.
No, he's lovely, and I'm sure would never hurt anyone.
Again, my experience,
I'm a big fan of Dharma and Greg.
Wonderful.
Yeah, he never hurt a soul.
I hope that's the case.
What's your DeepFake?
Yeah, but in 1 second, because I didn't even say. Sorry. I just because I don't want to talk about make a point about Squarespace, but then fail to make the entire point, which is easy to summarize and to say that like they haven't updated their stuff in a long time.
Oh yeah, I mean they
and it's just it feels like it's really out of date compared to like Wix, which has a developer platform now, which is really cool.
Yeah, Wix is really. I was not a fan of theirs, but then they really grew up.
Yeah. So I've been pretty impressed with that. But yes, let's blow through this other news really quickly. Nintendo Labo will let you program your own custom robots. We talked about Labo and programming robots last week in relation to kids. I saw this. I thought it was worth bringing up. Kotaku was writing about that. So we'll link to that in the show notes rather than talk about it because it's not really like a discussion piece anyway. I just wanted to mention it. And that actually does bring us to DeepFake. So here we go. DeepFake is, I guess we already explained what it is, but essentially I think it started on Reddit and people are making porn using machine learning algorithms that take video. We talked about this I think we did a 3-parter on AI and identity and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And how basically you can copy anybody. This was one of the things we were talking about when I was saying like someone could essentially take a photograph and not even a good photograph of you and make you look like you shot somebody and then submit that video as evidence. And the problem is it needs to be very, you have to have a lot of high quality sources of the actual video to work with to make it look really good. And the machine learning can make mistakes. But the thing is, if you know what you're doing and you plan it out properly, this is absolutely not out of the realm of possibility. The reason I want to talk about this is not because of it, not to really go over what's going on. I'm looking at the Reddit right now, and there's, oh God, Maisie Williams? That's not appropriate. Isn't she underage? That's, oh my God. Okay, so there's Olivia Wilde, Maisie Williams. This is just on the Reddit. Philip DeFranco's episode.
Someone asked for Anthony Hopkins from Silence of the Lambs with Danny DeVito.
Did they? Okay, I would watch that because that that is just super weird. I would just have to see that. Natalie Dormer, Robert Downey to Shia LaBeouf, just do it.
Oh, that's just transforming. So that one is not porn.
That's not.
It's
porn.
not all porn, but most of it is.
Yeah, most of this is porn. Kim Kardashian and Leela Starr, Emma Watson. I knew about that one. Gal Gadot. Oh, of course, someone had to do that. Yeah, this is. Danielle Panabaker. I didn't know she was on anyone's radar. But anyway, we don't need to read the list of all the people who are getting kind of literally and maybe metaphorically screwed here. I don't know, some words like that. It's, this technology is being used to create pornography that doesn't actually exist. And it begs a lot of questions of legality. Yes. Sorry.
That's one of my biggest annoyances. I don't know why, but when people say begs, it raises the question.
Begs the question. I don't know why I even said that. I was mostly confused as to. I was before you even corrected me. I was like, wait, what? But I didn't realize what I had said. Anyway, thank you, grammar Nazi. But you're
welcome.
Yeah, I mean, it raises the question of legality and issues of ethics, obviously, because it's not something that's going to be an issue with just celebrities, and just with porn, but something that can be used out there. And I found out about this. I mentioned kind of in passing the Philip DeFranco's video, and I was watching that yesterday because I saw DeepFake on there. I was like, oh, good, this is the dystopian world I've been talking about. Yes, finally, we're all going to hell.
I think it also hit peak because as the Reddit threads, one of them mentioned like it's going to be a shitstorm now. I think it's because it got covered in a couple mainstream places and it just spread.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so a lot of the stuff is getting deleted, which is good. I think. At the same time, I feel like there's the potential upside of this whole thing is that if you're generating fake porn and anyone can generate fake porn easily, there's like an actual app that turns this into a one button push process. If you have high enough quality video, it's just, you don't really have to do anything, which makes sense because, it's just an algorithm. So you put it on, load an instance up on any of, Amazon or Google Cloud or whatever. And you can just kind of have it go at it, so to speak. So there's
it's good.
I guess I think the upside is if there's as the horrible moral or not moral, but phrase in The Incredibles goes, which always Wisecrack finally pointed this out. Everyone watches The Incredibles and doesn't think like it's this horrible message in this movie, but it is. It's basically like the worst interpretation of an Ayn Rand story, where the evil villain is constantly saying if everyone is special, then no one is, and he's trying to make everyone special. I don't know if that's necessarily true. If everyone's special, then no one's more special than anyone else, but that doesn't mean they're not special anymore. So it's phrased like almost like it's a bad thing, but it never struck me as that when I heard that. I was like, why is that a bad thing? Why shouldn't everybody have that? It's more of the fact that he's being violent and a douche.
Yeah.
That's a problem. But it basically just is like, this should be left for the people who are born into these powers and screw everyone else. That's the moral of the movie. And I walked away from that feeling.
Bless you, Ayn Rand.
Yeah, that was just like uncomfortable. But I mean, like even with Ayn Rand doesn't even go that far. It's not a birthright.
Because she was afraid, but she should have.
Well, I don't know. But she was like, I don't think she's as horrible as everyone makes her out to be. I think she's been, I guess, pulled into the conversation by a more conservative interpretation of her work. But there is a lot that is, there's a lot that is legitimately debatable that she said and is.
I think someone should make a deepfake of her and go from there.
I already made a chatbot of her.
Yeah.
I can't take. I'm not comfortable putting someone in that position.
You know what the next step is?
What?
Deepfake.
Oh, okay. So I thought there was another next step.
Oh no, that's the next step.
But that's the thing with a lot of this stuff is like once we start creating fakes of everybody, then we do have the problem of what is your identity and who are you and how do you control who you are anymore?
And also like do you control your own image? Like what? Yeah.
But there's also this benefit after people lose their minds and so on of being able to say this is not. It's not a big deal anymore. There's porn of everybody. If we want to masturbate to somebody, that world can be created for us in the privacy of the internet, which is not much. But like if porn exists for everybody, then does porn exist for anyone? If we're going by Incredibles logic,
in theory, yeah, it does.
Well, yeah. I mean, it does with the Incredibles special thing too.
Yes, exactly.
But it's one of those things where it's like at that point. Is it a big deal anymore?
I think people, I think, at least in this generation, are always going to have an issue with the idea of your likeness being used without your permission in that kind of capacity. Yeah, and that's something that's going to unfortunately have to die out because no matter what, it's going to become a thing where, I mean, it's the same thing with Photoshop. Like if you've ever been Photoshopped into a porn picture before, even though everyone knows it's a fake. But I think that's going to raise like other legal questions people are going to bring up about like, because this is going to an extreme of, is obviously celebrities are going to have more say because it's like likeness rights. Yeah. But the idea of like, if there's an image of you that's not you, that's clearly you, but not real, do you have the right to also claim that? Yeah. So I'm curious to see where this is going to go. Yeah. I mean, because it could be, DeFranco was saying it could be considered art or it could be considered defamation. Mm-hmm. It might be both, but ultimately it's going to be a very hard legal case. I think in the United States, it's going to go because of the porn thing. Yeah. And because sex is something everyone likes to demonize here. I think it's more likely that it will go in favor of the people who are the victims of these circumstances, but eventually it's going to be uncontrollable. The thing that I think people are not yet grasping is that it is not going to happen quickly, but it's going to be a situation where the government is not going to be able to control any of this stuff at all in our lifetimes. And how that, what that amounts to is a little frightening. That's a happy note to end on. Yeah. I hope that we get to, oops, I just cut to an empty chair. I meant to cut to our end screen. I hope that gets better. I mean, I hope that the government gets their tech stuff in order. I just feel like this is... Well, with Ajit Pai at the helm of one of the aspects, I'm sure we're in good hands.
Yeah, I'm worried. Well, even he, we didn't talk about this, but he was against the government getting involved in 5G, which was,
I mean, that's not surprising.
Part of his administration. I mean, yeah, it does fit with his MO,
yeah.
but it's nice to know that even he can think for himself a little bit.
I mean, government going in 5G.
He's not doing everything Trump wants.
Yeah. Well,
although who knows what Trump wants.
Exactly. Depends on the day and the minute.
Yeah. Anyway, check out awkwardhuman.com/supercharged to contribute to the show. If you want to help support the show, you can go to awkwardhuman.com/help-us, I believe is the URL. They're all, if you go to awkwardhuman.com, there are links up on the top. It's not that hard to find. But we have a new site as of a couple months ago, so if you haven't checked it out yet, it's cool. There's a lot of other stuff on there that's interesting. You can find out about more of our shows, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, we got to get going. So thank you for watching. We'll be back at you next week. And I don't know if we have anything specific next week yet.
It'll be a surprise to all of us.
Yeah, hopefully February is going to be a month where we have a lot of interesting guests, I'm hoping. But it's a slow process sometimes getting people to like show up on Thursday in the middle of the day. So we'll see. But I'm excited when we finally get some of these people in, because there are some really interesting ones, and I will hopefully be able to stop just saying that, and you'll find out when it happens. So, goodbye. Thanks for listening to this episode of Supercharged. If you'd like to send in a comment or a question, you can do so on awkward.email. You just go on your web browser to awkward.email. It's actually a website. And you can call or text 509-AWKWARD instead if you'd like to just skip all of that and do it from your phone. Also, if you'd like to check out some of our other shows, we've got a lot of great shows now, and we're having more every day, or, eventually. You can do that on awkwardhuman.com/podcast. Go check it out. We've got a lot of good stuff, and we hope that you'll be listening every week. Thanks.